Hey YouTube, alright, so it's Wednesday, so I'm over here at the house, and about halfway up there to Ohio, the exhaust started getting louder and louder and louder, and so I'm checking it out. I was thinking it was those vice grips I have on the rear manifold, but I was looking at it, and I don't know if you can see it down there, but the flex pipe is completely blown out and separated, and it's been blowing exhaust all over the transmission tunnel and been melting the little heat shield shit on the tunnel back there, the exhaust tunnel. I know why I said transmission tunnel, the exhaust tunnel. But yeah, so the downpipe is completely busted. It needs a new flex pipe section. So I guess that's what I get for eBay shit. So for now I'm just gonna leave it, I guess, and I'm gonna end up having to pull the exhaust off the 06 because it just has a little bit of leaks, but at least it goes all the way to the back. And I'll just put that exhaust on here, and I'll just run that for now. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this back on the 06, but I'm going to have to fix that flex pipe section or do something with it. Maybe just use the cat and the factory style downpipe and just weld the cat on where the factory cat normally would, since this is an aftermarket downpipe on here. Just like a stock replacement from some cheapo eBay special. But it is what it is. This lasted for like a year, so I can't complain. For like 140 bucks, it's not bad. And the cat's still good, so I can still use it. I'll just have to do some custom shit. It's always something. But I guess I'm gonna grab some tools out and start disconnecting some shit and get this exhaust off of here, and then I'll have to go jack up the 06 and get the exhaust off of it and do some swapping, and I'll give you guys another update. Hey YouTube, alright, so it's Thursday. I'm off work. I've been over at the house for a little while working on the exhaust on the 97. So this little shitty, this was that eBay downpipe that I bought. Tiny ass piping, but the flex pipe completely blew out, so I cut the cat off, and I was trying to fix the exhaust using a mix of the two. So what I did was I pulled the exhaust off the 06 that I welded up before with this downpipe and shit. And while I had it off the car, I welded this all up, and it was holding really well. But then this up here was hitting the sway bar, and it wasn't letting it connect all the way. So I just drove it to work loud today, and it almost caught my shit on fire and melted a bunch of shit. Now my locks keep unlocking by themselves. So I don't know what the hell is going on. So I pulled the exhaust system back off the car, and then since one of these studs on the manifold on the car broke off and it snapped off in the manifold, so I was going to swap it out. And as I was taking the crossover pipe off, both of the bolts on the front manifold broke, and one of them on the rear manifold broke. I don't know if you can see that down there. Yeah. So out of 4 bolts on the crossover, only 1 came out. So now, not only do I have to replace the rear manifold, now I have to replace the front manifold. And I don't have another one here. So now I'm just kind of shit out of luck, because now I can't drive nowhere. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do at this moment. So yeah, I'm just kind of shit out of luck. So I guess I'm just going to pick all my shit up and I'm just gonna have to have my boss pick me up tomorrow and bring me back home, and I'll have over the weekend to try to get something figured out on this thing. I'm kind of debating on just pulling the fucking engine out for the Grand Am and just saying fuck this car and just junking both of them. Like, this car's got rust, that one's way fucking rusted. I can just get what parts I can off of them and just be done. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the 97, but at the same time, it was a cheap beater. The engine runs good. The engine's worth the $350 I paid for the car. And it still has a new battery and a lot of other good stuff on it. All, you know, the new control arms and wheel bearings and struts and everything I've put on this car over the last 6 months, I can still keep and use. And I can still sell a lot of parts off of it, a lot of parts off that one. I can still try to fix it up and make it a nice car and maybe put another engine in it some other time. But my problem with that is I don't have anywhere to store it. Like, I've got so many fucking cars. So right now I've got to figure out something to get one of these cars going. And yeah, I'm just getting tired of this shit. So I'm gonna figure something out and I'll give you guys another update. Hey YouTube. Alright, so it is Friday. It's like 10 o'clock at night. So I've been working on this for a couple hours. My buddy David's helping me. So we've got the front manifold off. And as you can tell, both of those studs snapped off in there. So I went over to my storage after I got off of work and I grabbed all this. I have another rear manifold. It's got both the bolts. It's got both of these bolts here. I have another gasket. I have another front manifold with the bolts and then another crossover. So I was debating on putting these on, and then that way it would have the factory setup, exhaust, but I would still have to worry about trying to make the downpipe go on and fit and weld it to the rest of the exhaust. So then I had an idea, is I have the headers, and since these headers are going to go on this engine in the Grand Am with different supercharger and stuff, then I figured I could just use the headers, throw the headers on here with the downpipe, and then that takes care of all the, you know, the front and rear header and the crossover, takes care of all the broken studs, and then that also takes care of the downpipe all the way back to the resonator flange. And since my exhaust that I had on the 06, this bottom one, so this still has an O2 and it goes to a 3-inch coupler, and since my downpipe is 3-inch, then I should be able to just run this downpipe. I'm gonna have to take this flex off because it's built into the rear manifold. So, but I'll run this downpipe back to the flange, and since there's not a flange, then I'll use this flange off of this other downpipe from the other set of headers, and then that way this flange will bolt to this flange. I have a brand new gasket, so shouldn't have any leaks there, and then that will give me this 3-inch that will just slide onto that 3-inch, and that should connect all my exhaust. And then the only thing I have to worry about is tips on the mufflers, which is little shit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the headers, and so now we've been having to push the motor back like that to get in there. Now I'm going to have to ratchet strap it forward. I'm going to have to pull my intake off because I just seen it's hitting the computer. So now I'm going to have to get a ratchet strap and ratchet strap the whole engine forwards to the firewall, so that way I can get back there in the backside. I got to pull that O2 sensor out and get it out of the way so I can get to some of those studs. I got to pull that big bracket right there off. I've got to pull that little bracket like that one there. It's just a couple, one nut on the stud and then a little bolt. So not a whole lot of work. I mean, it's kind of a pain in the ass getting back there, but it's not hard. It's just tedious and time consuming and a pain in the ass. But I'll grab the ratchet strap, get this ratchet strap forwards, gotta pull the spark plug wires out, and then start undoing shit. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I've got the engine ratchet strapped forward. Gave me a lot more room back here to get stuff. We've already got the rear exhaust manifold heat shield off, so now I can get to all the studs. And I've already got this rear hoist hook point, whatever, off. It was just one bolt, one nut. So now I've just got to get all the two nuts that hold this bracket on off. And then I think it's just like the 6 studs. And then there's one stud that bolts the EGR tube on right here. And it goes on from the back side. So that one's kind of a pain in the ass, but
show them these class.
Yeah, look at this. This from '97. I guess it's like a 1-year only exhaust manifold deal. And then it's got them on the front one also to like bolt down to the. And it's definitely different. I tried to fit it on the other ones and they don't fit, so. Got to be like a 97 year only that had that. But yeah, I'm getting this rear manifold off, and then once I get the rear manifold off, then I'll start getting the rear one set on there, and then I'll lean the motor back some, and I'll get the front one on, and I kind of got to fit them together at the same time and tighten them down at the same time. And there's a trick to it also. I gotta like take the O2 sensor out of the downpipe and stick it down in there and then put the O2 sensor in before I bolt it on. It's like a lot of bullshit that's kind of a pain in the ass, but it'll be worth it. So y'all stay tuned, I'll keep you guys updated. Alright you guys, so rear manifold is off. It's out. So now I've got to grab this rear header. I'm going to have to pull the O2 sensor off before I can stick it down in there, or else it's going to hit. And then I bought these clamps on eBay like a couple months ago. And so I got one for the rear spot, and then I got this other one for up here on the front side. So that way I won't have to use these shitty clamps. And it'll look a lot cleaner, and it'll also, it covers up the slits, because there's some on this rear one too, and it was actually leaking at the rear spot, so that'll kind of help keep that from leaking at the same time as make it look cleaner. So I'm about ready to start shoving that down here in the hole. Like I said, I just got to pull that O2 sensor out, and then I can start getting it down in there. And I've got the factory metal gaskets on it, so I'm going to pull that one off, and I'm going to swap it out with these other ones because I've already cleaned them up and got all the gunk and shit off of them. So I'm going to end up using both of those metal factory gaskets while I use the headers. And so I'm about to start getting this shit put back together, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so I finally got the rear header in there. I've got it just kind of loosely on there, just got some studs in there holding it up. So what I had to do was ratchet this thing all the way up here into the fans, and I had to take this bracket with the map off. I had to pull the rear valve cover, and it was like a super tight squeeze. And then at the same time I had to get a pry bar because the V-band was hitting on the power steering lines and on the sway bar. So I had to kind of pry the V-band and the flex pipe up over all that shit while pressing on it up here. And it was a super tight fit. If it wouldn't have been for David helping me out, I don't think I would have got it on there without dropping the subframe some. But we got it in there, so one thing at a time. Now I gotta let this thing go back and start working the front with the crossover pipe and kind of snake that in there. And I'm gonna have to bend the transmission dipstick out of the, over a little bit to kind of fit it. But it's coming along. I'm making progress, so y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so I've been working over on this side. So I was getting everything put back together, and then I was trying to put my my gasket here for the EGR hookup on, and I forgot that you're supposed to have to grind this piece down on the EGR to be able to fit into the headers. So I had to just undo these two 13s right here and this 13 here, and that one was already undone. And so I just pulled the whole EGR off and took it over there and plugged in the grinder and just grinded it down. And now I've got it bolted back on. So now I just got to slide my gasket in there and put the bolt in, and that should thread right down and tighten up. And that should mate in there, yeah. So now it should line up really nice and well. And then you can tell I'm gonna have to bend the trans dipstick just a tiny little bit to make some clearance. But it's coming together. So now I've got to grab that front header with the crossover and kind of snake it down in here and kind of get it all test fitted up down into there too. So I'm going to keep working at it and get these last few bolts in this rear just to kind of hold it together, and then I'll grab that front one and get it in here, and then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so after like 2 hours of fighting with it, fucking David was like, hey bro, maybe we should just remove the throttle body. So I took off the throttle body. The gasket stayed in one piece. I have another one just in case. I'll probably end up replacing it anyways. But yeah, we removed the throttle body. Pretty much fucking went right on. So now it's on there. It slid into the rear manifold. I still have to tighten the rear manifold down and tighten the front manifold down. It has it's just slid onto the two studs right there. But it is on and together. So now all I got to do is just pop my gasket up here into place where it needs to be. Tighten all that down. And start tightening the front down. And then it'll be good to go. And then I just got to hook up the downpipe to the V-band down there. And start plugging everything back in. So I'm going to start getting all this bolted down, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the front header kind of just snugged down. It's not all the way tight. So my clamp here is no longer hitting the transmission. I rotated it a little bit, so I got to tighten that back down. And then if you look back here at the rear crossover, oh man, can you see it? It is in the rear header right there, and I don't see it any exposure, so that should not leak anywhere. And I still have to finish tightening down the rear and tighten down that EGR plug right there, and I gotta swivel up my gasket for it because it's hanging down, and get that on there. And then once I get all that tightened down, then I can tighten down my clamp and just give everything a nice final torque. And then I can put my plug wires back on and start hooking everything back up. I did also have to disconnect this upper radiator hose just so I could have some more space. And I had to pull out this radiator fan, which, as you can see, my radiator is all bent in right here. This whole piece is pushed up. So I'm probably going to try to push that back down some. And I might end up just swapping the radiator out of the parts car. That way it's not all bent. But for now it works. So I'm going to get this header install finished up and get everything tightened down completely. And then I will give you guys another update. So y'all stay tuned. Alright, YouTube. So it's been about another 30 minutes. It's about 2:30 in the morning. Saturday morning, and I've got the front header completely tightened down. I've got the crossover pipe clamp tightened down. I've got the rear header tightened down. I've got the EGR bolt tightened down. I've got these two EGR bolts tightened down. This one's tightened down. I got my plugs plugged back in. So I think there's still, I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's still one more bolt right next to the EGR, the very last flange bolt. And then I think I have one more lower bolt. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I got them all. And then I still have to, I'll double check them all. And then I still got to put that rear hook back on. And then I just got to plug some sensors and stuff back in and hook up some vacuum lines. And I have to plug in my rear O2. It's here and it goes to way back down over there. So probably going to have to run an extension harness, which I have a couple of them, so it's all good. Over here in this bag, underneath all this stuff, there's my other front header, rear header. Crossover. Thought I had an extra extension harness. Well, there's one. Well, hopefully I don't need the one for underneath. I know it does have a long O2 sensor plug, so the wire's pretty long, so maybe it'll just reach. But either way, yeah, I'm going to have to probably use this to plug in and run down there. And I'll have to zip tie it up to the firewall. I got my gasket on the EGR, so it shouldn't leak there. I got both the cleaned up nice metal OEM exhaust gaskets on the front and rear. So there shouldn't be any leaks from the exhaust. I got this nice big clamp on here, so that should help seal up that leak I had there. I was not able to get the other clamp onto the rear one back there. It's just such a tight fit, and I just wasn't able to get it on the rear one back there. So hopefully I don't have any leaks back there. I guess now I've just got to try to finish getting those two other bolts all tightened up and in the rear manifold, and then I can just start, like I said, just start getting everything plugged back in and hooked back up. I got to get this fan put back in. And as you can see how bent up my radiator is. It's crazy. But man, I'm really excited. I'm happy. It's I'm being able to put these headers to some more use. Which, I mean, I was going to use them on the Grand Am anyways, but it's nice to know that they're on here, and whenever I go to pull the engine out, the headers are already on there. So I'm just going to keep buttoning everything up and getting everything plugged back in and everything finalized, and then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I made a lot more progress. I've got everything tightened down. I've got all the plug wires back on. I've got all my sensors back here. The vacuum lines are plugged back in. I've got the EGR plugged back in. I've got that harness ran from the O2 down there. Everything's looking really good. So So the only thing I have left to do, oh, I got this one dog bone mount on. So I still have to snake this other fan back in here and get it bolted back down and plug the harness back in. And I gotta put this dog bone mount back on. I still gotta put the air intake back on. But other than that, it's all on there and it's solid, it's tight, EGR's tight. So I really want to start this thing, but it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and it's gonna be super loud. Yeah, fuck it. Yep, way too loud. Okay. I guess that's probably because of my throttle position and all that stuff, so that's okay, not a big deal. She runs, so I'm gonna keep working on this thing, get this thing put back together, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, YouTube, so I've got everything back together. Like, everything's all back together. So now the only thing that's left is I need to jack the car up and put it on jack stands. And I need to get under the car. And I need to start hooking up this downpipe. And once I get the downpipe hooked up, see, I took this flange off the other downpipe, and this is also part of the other downpipe. And I just bolted it to this. I still got to completely tighten them both down. But I just bolted it to this so it'll extend it out. And this is 3-inch pipe. It's just like this here. And then this is flared so that the 3-inch will fit into it at the end. So, this pipe that I have over here, so this exhaust here has the 3-inch opening, so this pretty much that downpipe will slide over that, and then I'll be able to connect it. So now I've just got to figure out my lengthwise, so I need to get the exhaust kind of hung back up on the car where it's supposed to go to get that sitting in place. And I know the O2 sensor will reach and plug in, so I already know that will work. So now I've just got to get that flange figured out, or pretty much figure out exactly where I need to cut that, or if I need to use this piece to make it longer like it is right now, or if I need to use a shorter piece to go in there, and then that way I can cut it if I need to or whatever. And then also have this little shorter piece, and then that little piece. So, I mean, I've got a lot of different options I can go. But yeah, that's going to be the next thing. So now the car runs, starts. I mean, it's still loud, evidently. But other than that, everything's nice and tight. Everything's hooked up. So I'm pretty stoked on that. So hopefully tomorrow I'm going to be able to drive this thing around. And with a full exhaust, all hooked up. It'll be semi-quiet. And go from there. So I guess it's like 4:15 or so in the morning. I'm tired, so I'm picking all my stuff up. I'm going to get everything loaded up in the trunk and get this thing locked up for the night and go from there. So I'll catch you guys in the morning. I'm going to get all this stuff picked up and I'll catch you in the daylight. Hey YouTube. Alright, so it's like 7:30 at night. Later in the day, I slept for most of the day. So I just got the jack out and jacked the car back up. And got the downpipe out. And I started up the car and it runs. So that's where my header is coming out. So I've just got to get this stuck up in there and get the downpipe V-band lined up with the header V-band to get the clamp on and tightened down. It's a 13mm. So I've got my sockets here and the impact right here. so that way I can get it up in there. And then I have these rubber O-rings, hangers, probably going to use those two, and then that way I can hang it up on the hooks up there, and that'll hold it up. And then, so like I said, either last night or early this morning, so I bolted this other flange on here that gives me another 3-inch like input for the exhaust. And then I have that other, I don't know, like a 8-inch or 10-inch piece right there, extension. So what I'm going to do is once I get this, the V-band bolted on and get this hung up, then I'm going to have to get the rest of the exhaust from over there and, you know, kind of get it hung up where it needs to go so I can see the length and kind of see where I need to adjust. And I mean, if just this piece will work, then I'll just take this one off and just use this little input here and just slide the exhaust together, and then that way I don't have to weld anything. If I needed to go to here instead of cutting this one, I'll use that little short extension piece. And it's not stainless, but it'll work. Like I said, it's temporary. I'm just trying to get the car together. So, and then since the rest of the exhaust has the O2, and I know that the plug reaches it because I already had it hooked up, so I don't have to use either one of these two O2 bungs. I'm just going to leave those capped, and then I'll just run that O2 that's on the rest of the exhaust and be good to go. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm about to get this bolted up in here and then go grab the rest of the exhaust and get it hung, and I'll give you guys some updates as I go, so y'all stay tuned. Alright, so that was pretty quick. So I think the hardest part of getting that on was just getting those stupid O-ring rubber hangers on. But yeah, that was really simple. Just line up the V-band, put the clamp on, tighten it, and that's secured, and then hang the hangers. So one thing I am having one problem with this is, since I'm using the same set of headers flange but backwards, it's giving me that other set of hooks, and the other hook is hitting up there, so I'm gonna have to cut that bar off. I might just cut both of them off. But yeah, other than that, that was really the only issue I was having. Other than that, it went great. So now I've got to go grab the rest of the exhaust and snake it back there and kind of start hanging it up where it needs to go and see where it's going to go on this and go from there. And then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I've got the headers on, downpipe is on, just goes right there to open. I got nothing in the back yet. It's all still sitting over there next to the shed. So I'm gonna show you how loud this thing is. There we go. Oh, it died. Yeah, she loud. So I'm going to have to run over to the salvage yard today. They open in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to run over to the salvage yard, get some exhaust pieces, and get this thing finished up today, hopefully. Hey YouTube, so I'm over at Danny's U-Pool. Just went on the yard, and very first row, found a Monte Carlo SS 3800 NA, and had a good exhaust. I was able to just undo the resonator flange there, so now I've just got to bolt it up to my downpipe flange. So that's what I'm working on right now. Sucks it's raining. I'm having to lay in the water. I don't have a way to haul it to the house to do it there, so I'm gonna have to do it right here in the parking lot. So just want to give you all an update. It's getting there. Alright y'all, so I've got the exhaust on. I still need to tighten it down all the way and finish up the hangers. It looks pretty good. I still gotta put in the downstream O2 sensor. So it does have a little bit of an exhaust leak at the moment. But 61 bucks, not bad. Got the resonator back. So at least now it has a full exhaust. So whenever I get over to the house, I'm gonna jack this thing back up, get the O2 in, and try to get everything tightened down, and hopefully there's no more exhaust leaks and it's quiet. So y'all stay tuned, I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so here's the exhaust. It's connected all the way back. I've just kind of put on a couple more hangers. There's like one right there on that corner and one back there where it goes over by the Y. And then I only have one of them on this driver's side muffler on the very back. I need to get another one on there. And then I've got one of these O-ring hangers on. I got the other one right here. I'm about to put the O2 in. I took this O2 off of that Bonneville exhaust that I had on the 06 Pre that I got from the salvage yard. And it was a little difficult, but I got it to come off. It threaded right out once I got it broke free. So I cleaned up the end of it with a wire wheel. Cleaned up the threads. And now I'm about to thread it in here and get it tightened down. And then get the plug plugged into the harness. And it should be good to go. So, y'all give me a few minutes and I'll give y'all another update after I get all this together. Whew. Alright you guys, so now I got the O2 in. I could only get the one hanger on. I was having trouble trying to push the exhaust towards the passenger side to get the other one on, so I'm just going to wait on it for now. But other than that, everything's on. O2's in and hooked up. Front O2 is on and hooked up. So, I guess I'm going to start her up and see how loud it is. Oh, it's really quiet. Well, it's really quiet. That's exactly what I needed, so sounds like the this radiator fan is rubbing on the radiator, so I'm gonna unplug it. Should I might even just take that one out. But for now, I'm at least gonna unplug it so it's not gonna rub a hole in the radiator. I do have another one on the parts car, but I'd rather not destroy it yet if I don't have to. So it's pretty good. Didn't hear very many exhaust leaks, so sounds like I got that EGR sealed up with that gasket, and this clamp helped with that exhaust leak I had on the 07 up here at the front. And I don't think I ever had any exhaust leaks down there on the rear where the crossover goes into the rear manifold. It was always only right here. but that's good. I'm happy with it. So it sounds really quiet. That's exactly what I need. No exhaust leaks, nothing burning down. So good progress for the weekend for like 62 bucks. And I forgot while I was out there at the salvage yard, I forgot to grab the bracket for the Grand Am. So now I got to go back out there, and so that way I can get the bracket for the Grand Am fender. So I'm gonna pick these tools up, load everything back in here, and head back over to Danny's Auto Salvage so I can go pull that fender bracket. So y'all stay tuned. Alright y'all, so look, can't make this stuff up. So I found my fender bracket for the Grand Am. I also found a mass airflow for the 97. And so I was looking at this. It says it's an Alero. So then I'm like, what the hell? Sure enough, that's an old Alero. So somebody put a Chevy Malibu front end on it. And even the pinstripe kind of worked. That's crazy. Shit people do. But yeah, it's got a different style bracket anyways. It's not the same. But oh well, I got my bracket, so I'm just walking around and just looking, and then I'm gonna head out. As soon as I get done looking around, I'm gonna head back to the house. Alright you guys, so I made it back over here to my buddy David's house from the salvage yard. And I forgot to unplug the fan. And I got over here and I popped the hood so I could change the mass airflow sensor. Even though this is a brand new fucking sensor, but I guess something's going on with it. So I popped the hood to change this, and everything was wet, so I thought maybe it blew out some coolant out of this hole because I never bled it after I disconnected the hose. And then I thought maybe the hose blew out because it is old, but no, the fan rubbed and busted open the radiator down here. See the coolant trickling. And it also rubbed it right down here. It's not leaking on that spot, but it's leaking over there.
I know, it's raining.
So now I have to go to the house. I gotta pull this dog bone off. And I'm gonna have to pull the whole radiator out. And I'm gonna have to pull the radiator out of the parts car. And I'm just gonna take the whole assembly, radiator and fans, and swap everything. So I'm about to head over to the house and start pulling everything out of the parts car. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright YouTube, so I'm back over here at the house. I'm working on getting this damn parts car ripped apart. So I got all my tools out and kind of organized. I've already got this crossbar right here off to give me a little more space. I got this radiator hose off. I got the throttle cable and shit pulled up out of the way. I already disconnected these two AC lines and the line from the compressor and just got it out of the way, so that way it's out of the way. I might have to bend this bracket forward a little bit. Yeah, see, there's an AC line, and then there's this little bracket here, and it's just a 10 millimeter, and it just goes like this on the other side just to hold it, keep the radiator from moving forward. And it only had one on here, and it only has one on mine also, on the 97. So I'm gonna use this one for the other side on the 97. But yeah, this whole thing's already loose. And one other thing I did need to do is I need to pull the Trini cooler lines because they're leaking on the 97 also. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull those out of the trans and leave them connected to the radiator. And then that way, once I go to swap everything, I can just disconnect those lines out of the 97 and plug these lines in, and it'll be good to go. So that's where I'm at right now. And it looks like I'm also missing one bolt right here, so I have to put another bolt in right there. But other than that, everything looks good. So I'm just going to get these two lines out of the trans, and then I'll pull this whole radiator with the fans, whole assembly out. And I'm probably going to swap out this whole wire harness on the fans because this one's all nasty and caked in oil, and the one on the 97's all nice and clean. So, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So I'll keep you guys updated, so y'all stay tuned. Alright you guys, so I've got the radiator and fans out with the lines, and I've just been kind of cleaning them out. There was so much gunk back here, so I've been taking the air compressor and just trying to blow it all out, trying to get all this crap out. So I've been doing this for about 20 minutes or so. Just compressor so small, doesn't really hold that much air and keep it under pressure. So everything's out. I've got the condenser right there. It's kind of beat up on this front side and it's twisted. So I don't know if I'm going to use that one or not. I might. So I know this one is pretty twisted up down there at the bottom, so I don't know if this one's going to be any better condition. I don't know, it might not be dented up at the bottom. Maybe. I guess we'll see whenever I get the radiator out. But it's going pretty good. I'm just trying to get this thing cleaned up. And so I'm about to pull this other dog bone mount off, and we're going to start pulling everything out and getting this thing disconnected so I can get these swapped out. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys updated as I make some more progress. Alright guys, so I got the old radiator out. Looks like the condenser is fine. It doesn't look bent majorly in any ways like that one did. But the radiator is a different story. And then you can see right here, you can see the tube spots. There's like 4 of them where the fans just rubbed right through it and they were just spraying out. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid, but I got in a hurry, got in a rush to go back out to the salvage yard to get that bracket and the mass airflow sensor that I forgot to unplug the fan before I left. And sure enough, on my way back from the salvage yard from getting the mass airflow sensor and that fender bracket for the Grand Dam, it blew up. And I didn't even know. I just pulled up at my homie David's house and popped the hood to change out the mass airflow sensor, and it was all soaking wet. And I was like, what the hell? And then I started filling it up with the antifreeze, and it just started dumping out. And I was like, damn it. I did exactly what I didn't want to do. But I've got that one out. I've got this one here. I've been letting the air run, trying to clean out all that dust and crap that was on the back side. It's looking a lot better, but still got to blow it out some more. I might rinse it off with the water hose and the handle and just kind of, it's not super high pressure, but kind of rinse it off and clean it up. And then put the fans back on, and it'll be ready to drop back down in here. Right after I still got to disconnect these tranny cooler lines. I'm having to swap the whole lines, which I was going to swap them anyways because these were leaking. You can see how gunky and nasty and wet they are. And these are all dry. So, making progress. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright guys, so I've got the old cooler lines are out. Before I jacked it up, I stood in here and it bent this piece back down from where it was pushed up previously. So now the out of the parts car, new to this car radiator should fit nice and flat across there. And then I got the old cooler lines out, undid them from the trans, so those should just thread right in, and then tighten everything back down, and it should be good to go. So now I just gotta snake those cooler lines down through here, up by the trans, and then get it set in place, hook up my bottom radiator hose over here, and then I'll have to run my upper hose and hook it back up over here to the thermostat housing and fill it up with coolant and bleed it, and we'll be good to go. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated once I get this radiator and fans back in. Alright, you guys, so I've got the radiator and fans and everything in. I have this dog bone mount back on because the engine and trans was leaning towards the firewall, and it was so much of an angle I couldn't get the cooler lines to thread in. So I had to put this dog bone on and pull it back so it'll be more of a straight shot. But other than that, I've got this hose hooked back up to the radiator and ran over here. I have both of these clamps on that hold the radiator down. All the fans have all their bolts in them. Got the fans plugged in. Looks like this heat shield is hitting the header a little bit, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. And yeah, so now all I got to do is get up here underneath and finish installing the cooler lines, get them threaded in, and get everything tightened down. And then I can set it back on the ground and top off all my fluids and bleed it. I still have to put this upper hose on, and then I do still have to tighten the clamp on the lower hose down there. I haven't tightened the clamp yet. It's still really loose, but I did get it shoved back on the radiator. And then I got to put my battery tie down back in here and tie the battery back down so it's not all moving around like that. And then yeah, get her all filled up with fluids and get it bled, and should be good to go. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll keep you guys updated as I make some more progress. Alright, you guys, so I've got the cooler lines tightened down. I've got the other dog bone mount on. Everything's tightened down. I started adding coolant, but I ran out, so I'm going to have to go buy some more coolant. And I still got to put the air intake back on. It's sitting over there. And I've already swapped out the mass airflow sensor. So it's coming along. I still got to put the battery tie down in and hook the positive terminal back up. But other than that, made lots of good progress. So I'm going to have to run up to Walmart, get another jug of antifreeze so I can top this thing off with antifreeze. And I'll give you guys another update whenever I get back from Walmart. Alright guys, so I'm back from Walmart. I got some coolant, I got oil and oil filter, got some brake clean, I got another quart of transmission fluid, also got some Lucas transmission stop leak. So yeah, just got a few things for the car. So I'm topping off the coolant right now, and just about to the point where I'm going to start it. I want to add some of that Lucas into the trans dipstick before I start it up. So I'm just going to finish topping off the radiator, and then probably put most of that bottle in the trans, because quite a bit of fluid came out while the cooler lines were disconnected. And of course it's mixed with some shit, but there's all that fluid and there's all that fluid too. So yeah, quite a bit of fluid come out. So I just want to make sure it's full and topped off. So but yeah, I'll give you guys another update. Alright, so I've got the radiator completely topped off. Still got a little bit of coolant left in that gallon. I got that whole bottle of Lucas Transfix in the trans. So I'm still just going to let it settle in the dipstick. But I had to use my big old funnel. Got it all in there. So I'm just letting it settle for a minute, and then I'm going to start it up, let it run, watch the coolant level. Here, I'll go ahead and start it up real quick. That way it can just start running. And I can start bleeding the system. it's got a vacuum leak somewhere. I'll have to check it out. It's running good. Alright, so I'll give you guys another update. Hey YouTube. Alright, so it's Tuesday night. I'm over here at my storage at the 07 Pre. So I've been working on the 97 like all weekend and the last couple days. It's still not running right. I think whenever I change the radiator, having to move the wire harness. See, the wire harness runs all up in here. And I had to take this harness and stick it up here and wrap it up here and undo a bunch of stuff and take the computer and move it up here to get the radiator and fans out. And I think it messed with the wiring because now I'm having a low voltage issue to the throttle position sensor, and I didn't do anything. Like, all I did was unbolt the throttle body and set it up there. Today when I got off work, I went and got a brand new throttle body gasket, even put RTV on it just to be double 100% sure. It's still not running right. Changed the mass airflow sensor, still not running right. So I took the computer, I took the intake off, took the computer and twisted and messed with these wires and untwisted it some because it was kind of twisted. And it seems to run a little bit better, but it's still having an issue with the like idle air. And it sounds like there's a massive vacuum leak, but I don't know where it would be coming from. And yeah, so I don't know what else to do at the moment. So I'm just gonna have to keep driving it how it is for a few days and go from there. But so I ordered a brand new set of fans for the 07. They came in yesterday, and they come with these like long, they're not really like zip ties, but you just stick them through and they come out through the back. And then it has these little pads and these springs and these clips, and you slide it down and it locks in place. And then you cut them off. So that took me like 10 minutes to install those. So now all I gotta do is just wire them up. So, and they'll spin either way. They're push or pull. But I'm gonna have them to where they're sucking the air through, blowing everything off that fucking hot ass engine, or blowing onto the hot ass engine. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out. And then I changed the cap to the one that was on the original radiator, because I actually put that on to this radiator out of the 98 and it was leaking. It was like it wasn't sealing all the way, but it has a nice tight fit on there. And then also I brought this off the parts car. That's that coolant tank. And so I was thinking about maybe using that instead of this one and mounting it over there, and it'll kind of save a little bit of space and make it look a little cooler, a little nicer in the engine bay. Just having everything kind of more custom, I guess. And then I got these Brembo brake covers, so I'm just going to take and put them on the outer pad whenever I put them on, so you'll kind of see the Brembo. I just thought that was cool. And but yeah, that's kind of my update for the 07 Pre. Oh, and I swapped out the throttle body, and this one's not as clean as the one that was on here. I said I had cleaned that one pretty recently, so that one was really clean, but yeah, it took a nice chunk out of the corner. It doesn't look like it cracked the housing or anything. It just took a chunk out of that corner. So it'll probably still work. It could probably still be used, but this one's good. I know it'll seal and be watertight. It doesn't look like this one's cracked or has any damage. And it is a little dirty, so I probably need to pull it back off and clean it. But for now, it has a good throttle body on there, so that's good. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on. I'm still got to figure out these fittings for the fuel rails. I've got to get 2 caps, one for this end and then one for the same side on the other rail. And then I pretty much just got to connect some of my line from here to here. And that's pretty much it on that. So that's all I'm waiting for is just some fittings. And then I can run my fuel line. And I still have to run everything to the fuel pressure regulator, and then I have to run my feed into the fuel pressure regulator, and I have my fitting up here for that. Where is it? Yeah, that one right there, and that will just pop right in. But my problem is this does not thread into this fuel pressure regulator at all. So that's my issue with that. So I'm going to have to get an adapter fitting that'll thread into this. That'll let me thread that on so I can plug my fuel rail or the fuel feed into the fuel pressure regulator. And then I've got to run this line across but put a T into it, which I have a T in here somewhere. And then once I put a T into it, then I can just run this side to here and that side to there. And let the fuel pressure regulator go to both. I just want to make it a little bit cleaner. So I don't really know. It's still a work in progress, but I'm really anxious. I want to get this thing back in the car. It's just I still got a lot of work to do. Clean up in here. I want to scrub all this down and make it look a lot nicer and cleaner before I put this back in, because this is all nice and clean and looking new. So if I put it in a junky, dirty engine bay, it's not going to look as good. I mean, look, this is just like dirt and shit. Like, yeah, some degreaser and a scrub and a nice power wash will clean this the fuck up. And then what I'm thinking on the radiator mount support, instead of using this is the factory 04 to 08 radiator. It bolts right here, and the radiator fans, I don't know if you can see them over there. Not really, but they have this little square piece that sticks up, and it goes inside this hole, and that just kind of holds the radiator back. And so on the 97 to 03 body style, like this one, it has these other clamps like that one right there, and it still bolts on with a 10 millimeter. I can't really see it, but yeah, it still bolts on up there with the 10 millimeter, and it just kind of has a rubber piece that sets up against the radiator right there. And so I'm thinking about, I have one extra one over at the house on the parts car because it only had one. And so I'm thinking about, if I get another one of those, I want to try to use those. And then that way it'll still bolt on right here, and it kind of comes out, and it's got the big rubber piece. So even if it's not sitting directly on the side over here, it'll just be sitting on this, but with the rubber piece, it's not going to be smashing it in there. And I'll just put one on each side, and that should hold the radiator in place. And so then it'll be good to go, other than just wiring up the fans. And then I'm not going to wire them on a relay or anything. I'm just going to wire them up to the factory plug, the harness that's running up there against the side. But once I get everything back in, it'll run down here across the front, and I'll just be able to wire those right into the plug, and I'll just hardwire them and solder them and heat shrink them. And shouldn't have any issues. The fan should kick on and run. I already tested them. I guess I could test them on camera real quick. Let me grab a battery. I don't know if those plugs will fit down in there. That one's positive. Oh yeah, I don't think they're going to fit down in the terminals. No. And Nope, it's not getting a connection in there. Oh well. It kicked on last night. We hooked it up to the battery in the car, and yeah, it zips pretty good. I about took my finger off, so. But yeah, I'm really happy with the purchase. It was like $38 for both of them shipped with the mounting kits and everything. And with them just being red, I was like, I gotta get them. I seen a set of black ones on Facebook Marketplace, and I was about to buy them. I was going through the checkout, and it was like 48 and some change. And right as I was about to click pay now, I was like, let me go look on eBay. And so I got on eBay, searched slim fans, and bam, it was like the third one that popped up, bright red. And I was like, yeah, I want those. And it saved me $10. It was only like 38 something with tax and shipping and everything. So super happy with the purchase, less than $40, and they look amazing. Install was super easy, and yeah, I'm super happy, very excited with the progress, and it'll match everything very nicely. So making some progress on this. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks to get over here, and I've got to get the subframe with the 5-speed and everything off of the cherry picker, so I can get the cherry picker over here. And I'm gonna pretty much do the same thing I've got how I have the Grand Am subframe. I'm gonna slide the cherry picker under here, lift it up, take out the jack stands and that head, and then set it down on the legs, wheel it out of the way, and go set it over there on the jack stand. So I'll have the cherry picker, and I'm gonna bring it back in here. Probably hook it up right here to the radiator support or into this hole, and I'll lift it up, and I'll just have to raise the jack stands or borrow my neighbor's jack stands that go a hell of a lot higher, and I'll just have to get this thing raised up high enough so I can get this back underneath and kind of lower it back down and raise this up at the same time and get them set back in place. And I'll get this thing in there. But before I do that, I've got to get this bolt on the EGR valve tightened all the way, which I might have to pull this EGR valve off because I don't think I grinded that down, and I think it's hitting in there. And just like on the eBay SD headers, you got to grind that down. And this is the one off of the Grand Am because I'd already painted it. It's always something, I'm telling you. But yeah, so I'm going to have to pull these two 13s off and pull this whole EGR valve back off to get to that. And I'm going to have to grind it down with the grinder and then put it back in there. Ooh, that one's got a dent in it. I don't like that. But either way, I'll get that done. But yeah, I've got to get that tightened down before I can put this back in. And I want to get my fuel line situation done, because once it's in, it's going to be way back here, and I'm going to have to be climbed up on here, reaching over everything, trying to get to it. And I just don't want to be messing with all that. I just rather have it all done while it's out, and it's easy for me to get to everything, and I can walk around the whole thing. And then once everything's done, then I'll put it in. And so that's kind of the goal and the plan. So but yeah, y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update on this here in like the next week or so. I'm not really doing too much more on this right now until I can get the fittings for the fuel rails. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update soon. Hey YouTube, alright, so it's Wednesday, it's like the 26th, and so I'm over here at the Grand Am storage today. So yesterday I was over at the Grand Prix storage. A couple days ago I went out to the salvage yard and I got me this new bracket. So what this is going to do, I don't know if you guys can tell, but you can see that bracket right there is just zip tied. And this one, it has this bolt hole in it. So I figured all I'd have to do is just drill another hole right here in the bumper, and it'll sandwich that. And this bracket that I have now isn't bent up like this one, so I can just unbolt it there. It's a 10 millimeter, and then cut that zip tie. This bracket will come off, and then I just got to drill a hole right there where this hole is going to line up. for that bolt. And then it'll go right there. And then it'll push this back out and push it up some. And whenever I push that up some, it'll bring that gap up closer to the headlight. So that's what I'm about to do right now. I'm just going to cut that zip tie and go from there. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update as soon as I get this old bracket out. Alright, you guys, so here's the old one up top. And there's the new one on the bottom. And you tell they're that one's way fucking bent. Yeah, big difference there. So that one's trash. I gotta unscrew that bolt right there and then get it bolted back in up there like that. And I still gotta drill me a hole for down here, unless that's already a hole right there. Awesome. Yeah, I just gotta drill one in the bumper. Alright, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna get this thing, start getting it back on here, and then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got this bracket all swapped out. Got everything bolted back down in there. Got that one tightened down up there. It's fitting a lot nicer. Like I said, they brought that bumper up a lot right here. It's still not perfect. It needs to come up a little bit more. But without that support bar, there's not really a whole lot I can do. And this bumper doesn't fit on there with that factory support bar. And even if it did, it was busted anyways. But that factory support bar is a lot wider than this section here. But man, it fits pretty good for what it is. It's pretty close to the same color. I'm really happy with it. It's looking really good. So next thing's next. The rear bumper, it is a little bit scratched up. I still need to clean it up. But overall, it's okay. Not a big deal. I can't really get to the back bumper right now. Even if I could get back there, there's not enough room to pull the bumper off. I got to open the trunk, pull the taillights off, get underneath. And I just don't have the room back there right now. So the rear bumper is just going to have to wait. I still got to get the wheels put back on and get it off of bricks in the rear. And then whenever I do that, that should bring the rear end down a little bit more. Give me a little more height in the front. And then here soon I'm going to need to jack this thing up even higher so I can get all this subframe and everything back in here. So I still don't know how I want to do this yet. If I'm going to put the engine and transmission in after I have the subframe bolted back in, or if I want to do it like this and go the whole thing in from underneath, like I'm doing the 07 Pre. But I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll get there eventually. I know whenever the time does come to put everything back in, I'm going to pull this front body kit bumper back off. Just for now, I like seeing it on here. It looks pretty damn good. Little bit of fitment issues, but not much. I think once I get this all bolted down and screwed down, that'll kind of pull it up some too. So, but very happy with the progress. It's all the little bits that make some of the biggest differences. But, yep, and then still waiting for fittings and stuff to come in for the 07. This thing, this 97, I don't know what the deal is with this thing. I've done all this work over since Friday. So, like the last 4 or 5 days, I've been working on this thing. And I stayed up Friday night until like 6 o'clock in the morning doing the headers, getting the headers and downpipe installed. I finally got all that installed, got the downpipe on. Then on Saturday, I went out to the salvage yard, or I don't know, I think I slept all day Saturday. And then Sunday, I went out to the salvage yard, got the resonator back exhaust off of a Monte Carlo SS, and just the flange, the nuts just came right off. It just unbolted, no problem. So I was able just to bolt it straight up to the downpipe and put a new gasket on there. There's absolutely no leaks. It is super quiet. But after I did all that, the fan rubbed a hole in the radiator. So I had to take the radiator and fans out of the parts car. And in order to change a radiator, you got to pull the dog bones off. And then there's this harness right here. And you have to slide this harness out and push it up here. And it kind of curves way up here like this in order to have your room to get the radiator out. So somewhere in this harness, from me pulling it and moving it forward, has broke a wire in here somewhere or did something for the throttle position sensor, because now it has stolen a code for throttle position sensor low voltage. And I didn't do anything with the throttle body at all. Like, the only thing I did was undo the 3 bolts and pulled it off so I had more clearance for the crossover pipe. And that was literally all I did. Everything else is still working. Like, I'm not having any codes for anything except for the throttle position sensor. And I keep getting this where the car wants to stall out while it's idling. And I tried changing the idle air control valve. I stripped out one of the screws for it, so I just didn't even put it back in. I went and got a brand new throttle body gasket and put RTV on both sides of it just to be double sure that it wasn't a vacuum leak at the throttle body. It's not a vacuum leak at the throttle body. I even put RTV in this hose here, and just to kind of seal that up, because that's how it's been since I got the car, and I just haven't fixed it. I just left it ghetto rigged, and it's worked fine. And it just goes right here to this purge solenoid or whatever. And yeah, that's it. Like, I don't know, but for whatever reason, I've tried everything. I've changed the mass airflow sensor. I've changed the air intake temperature sensor. I changed the idle air control valve. I changed the throttle body gasket. I've double checked everything. I pulled the intake back out and checked all these wires that's going into the ECM, and it's still just giving me issues, and I don't know what else to do about this thing. So I'm probably going to end up just taking the full harness out of the parts car, and with the ECM and the steering column with the ignition and the body control module, and I'm probably just going to swap the whole fucking wire harness, go into everything, and swap the steering column so it'll have the key and it's programmed to the computer. And I would love to just take the harness, but I'm pretty sure that some of the pinouts between the 97 and the 98 are different. So if I try to just plug this ECM into the 98 harness, it's not going to function properly. It's going to have issues because it's just not going to be wired correctly. And that's not what I want. And so if I just use the 98 PCM with the 98 harness, then everything will be the correct pin out, and I won't have to worry about nothing not working. My only issue then is if I use a 98 ECM, the car's not going to start because it's not programmed to the body control module and the ignition. And that's how GM does their shit. So I'm kind of at, I don't know. I mean, I've still been driving it the last few days, making it to work and back, driving it 30 minutes to work, 30 minutes back. And it's like, when it's idling, it's running like shit and it wants to die. But as soon as you hit the gas, it drives fine. It's only at idle whenever I have a problem. And when it's idling, it just sounds like the air intake's just sucking in air like it's going full throttle. So, I mean, I almost thought there was a vacuum leak somewhere, but I haven't been able to find anything that suggests a vacuum leak. And I mean, I haven't overheated the car or anything, so I don't see why it would be a vacuum leak anywhere, but I just do not know. So that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. I'm ready to just pull the fucking engine out for the Grand Am. I just don't have another vehicle at the moment. And I don't really have anywhere to put this thing. Once I pull the engine out, I don't have anywhere for it to go. And I really can't afford to be paying for another storage. even outside storage. I really just can't afford it. I'm trying to get cars out of the storage, not bring more stuff in. And then I still have a parts car sitting in the driveway I've got to get rid of. So I don't know. I'm really debating. I'm kind of wanting to just pull the engine out of this and say, fuck it, I'll just sell this car and the parts car together, and someone can do the work themselves and try to, you know, do whatever it is they're going to do. Try to make the two cars into one nice, good car. Take the interior and everything out of the parts car, get it in here, swap the harness, the computer, all that, swap the dash. I mean, this could be a really nice car with, you know, another fender and some other few little minor body work to it, maybe another windshield. But I mean, this could be a decently nice car. It just needs the work put in, and right now I just do not have the time to put the work in on this. I'm too busy with the Grand Am and the 07 Pre, and I still got to get the 06 Pre going, which these wheels are going to go back on the 06 Pre. I don't know, I've got so much shit going on. I've just been trying to keep this thing going so I can keep driving it because it's my daily, and I don't have the money to buy another fucking car right now. And even if I did, I don't need another car right now. I need to just go get an engine for the 06 and do a motor swap and drive the 06. But I can't do that this weekend because my check I'm getting tomorrow is all gone to bills already. Because whenever I went and bought the parts car, I got that ticket. Had to go to court yesterday for that. $217. I paid $98, overdrafted my account $98. So now I'm negative $100 in my bank account. So as soon as I get my check tomorrow, it's gonna be like $418. So $100 is already gone, and then my storage is $275. So it's literally gonna leave me like $30 out of 400 or something. So yeah, and then I still owe another 125 or some shit like that on the ticket. And then I have another court date coming up on like the 5th or the 6th next month, in like another week, and for Tulsa County for my speeding ticket. And I got a speeding ticket, and my license was expired at the time, so I got a no license ticket, which I got my license renewed, so that'll get thrown out. But the speeding ticket, I'm still gonna have to pay on it, and that's probably gonna be another couple $100. It's one thing after another. I just gotta slow the fuck down. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at over here with the 97, with the Grand Am, with the 07. And yeah, I'm just trying to get shit done and get some cars out of here. I know sometime either tomorrow or Friday, and it's supposed to rain real bad tomorrow, but if it doesn't rain real bad tomorrow, then after work I'm going to try to run to the house, and I'm going to grab, my buddy David gave me a shelf. It's like a 4-tier shelf. It's like 5 foot wide or so. And so in the 07 storage, I have all that shit in the back of the car, so I want to move a lot of that stuff out. I'm going to set that shelf up in the back and get it like bolted and secured to the wall so it can't fall over. And then that way I'll be able to stack a bunch of stuff on the shelf, and it'll keep shit up out of the floor, and then I can kind of organize everything how I want it and go from there. So hoping to try to get that done sometime in the next couple days. And then I believe this weekend, I don't know anyone that's been watching for a while, there's a guy, Roger, the guy I got the free Grand Prix from for doing the motor swap for him out of the blue into the silver car. So his transmission's going out, so I'm going to sell him the spare transmission that I have. It was a Reman from O'Reilly's. I had it in the 06 Pre for a while before I did the supercharged swap, and it came out of a 05 Buick Park Avenue, and it has like a random gear ratio that's different from the Grand Prix. But I mean, I put it in the 06 Pre, and I ran it in the 06 Pre for like a year. Put like 30,000 miles on it with no problems. Stays or like 170 and 180 trans temp the whole time, running NA. So it'll be a good trans for him. I'm selling it to him for $350. So hopefully I can sell him the trans for $350. I can go buy an engine and then just throw the engine in the 06. And maybe I could find a supercharged engine. That would be pretty sweet. But I still don't know yet. It's really just kind of hit and miss. So I guess I will keep you guys updated on that sometime this weekend. But for now, I think I'm just gonna pick my stuff back up and kind of load everything up, and I'm probably just gonna head to the house and kick it out the house for a little bit. I don't really have anything else over here to do. I just wanted to come swing by and swap out that bracket and see how much better this fits, which it fits a lot better. I really like it. It doesn't have a huge gap right there now. It looks a lot better than it did. So yeah, that's it. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all have a good night, and I'll catch you guys whenever I come back over here. Hey guys, so I figured out what was going on with the 97. So watch this. So I'm gonna start it. And watch here. On that EGR piece. It's right where that EGR goes into the lower intake manifold. So that's my vacuum leak. So what it is, dang it, stupid phone. Alright, so what it is it's not this tube here, but it's the other one that connects from this side over to the lower intake manifold. Where is it? I have one laying up around here somewhere. Oop. Where is it? On the back. It's not on the back side there. Well, I have one laying around here somewhere. It might be over in the other storage. But yeah, it's just going to be two 13mm nuts, or one bolt and one nut. And I can swap that out super easy. No problem. And then hopefully that fixes the 97 and it'll run right. So I guess I'm going to run over here to the 07 pre-storage and look and see if I can find that real quick, and I will give you guys another update. Just like that, I have another one. I had a whole EGR setup, but there we go. So it looks like it just got dented in right there around the edge, and it's leaking really bad. So that's it. It's got a big ass hole in it. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I'm gonna get my 13 out and get that off there, get that undone, and get this one on there, and hopefully that'll fix my problem. So give me like 5 minutes and I'll give you guys another update. Okay, well, there it is. There's the new one, and there's the old one. It's like that whole piece right there somehow just got ripped off. I don't know how the hell that happened. But that's cool. I think now I can take these and I can weld something over this, and I can use these for my EGR block-off plates. And I think that'll work perfect. Clean them up, paint them, weld them closed first, then paint them, and bam, EGR block-off plates. So I'm going to keep that. That'll come in handy. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get this one bolted back on there and get this thing back together, and then we'll see how she runs. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here in a few. Alright, it's back together. Let's see how she runs. Well, it's running normal now, so that was the issue. now it's just running ridge because I unplugged the mask. Alright, so now I'm going to swap the mask back around because the one that's on there now is the one I got from the salvage yard. So I'm going to swap my brand new supercharged one that I bought from AutoZone and put it back on here and see if it runs any better then. So give me 2 minutes and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, I got the mask swapped out. That's my brand new one. That's the one from the salvage yard. As you can see the green markings. So let's see how she does now. If it's not one thing, it's another. Fucking 3,000 RPM. I don't know, you guys. I'm gonna run the codes and see what's going on. Alright y'all, so I cleared the codes. It still had a code for the mass airflow sensor because that was off of NA, not a supercharged. So I cleared the codes, started right up, it's idling great. So there it is. So there we go. It just had it was getting extra air. So now the car is running fine. So super stoked on that. At least now I don't have to worry about the car having other issues other than the issues it already had. So thankfully I have spare parts laying around and I was able to get it fixed. And it's crazy, yesterday after I got off work I just did the throttle body gasket. I had the whole throttle body off and I didn't even realize that that was busted right there. Well, I had it off. It was right in front of my face and I didn't even look at it. I was too busy looking at the gasket and the throttle body. I wasn't even looking at that. But it is what it is. I fixed it, so made some good progress on the 97. So now I'm just going to finish picking this stuff up, put it back in here, get this closed down and locked up, and probably going to head over to the house. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update whenever I make it over to the house. Hey YouTube. Alright, so I made it home. Car's here. So I made it home and my mom's car was actually having some issues. She said her brakes were going to the floor. So I got under here and I was going to try to bleed her brakes because she was completely out of fluid. So I topped it off with fluid. And after I filled it up with fluid, I went to bleed them. And the damn shit was stripped out. So I had to hammer a socket on the bleeder and get the bleeder off. And then had to just swap the bleeder off of this caliper. But now it's on there. Got this side bled. At least first round of bleeding. Now I got to do this side. The rears are drums, so I'm not really going to bleed them. I'm supposed to start on this side first, but that side was stripped out. So I'm going to do this side, and then I'll probably go back and do that side again. And make sure that these brakes are working good for my mom. So y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the passenger side all nice and bled, and it feels good over there. And then I also got the driver's side bled. This side, like I said earlier, the damn bleeder valve stripped out, so I had to run over to my storage and grab the other caliper, jack the fucking bleeder valve out of that caliper, swap it out. This side's good to go. I bled this side, then I went and bled the passenger side, and then I came and bled this side again. And I have 0 bubbles coming through on both sides. I got in there, pumped the brakes. They feel great. And got her topped off on fluid. And so I used my little brake bleeder tool. It was like 20 bucks or 25 bucks at Harbor Freight. And just every time it got full, I just dumped it into one of the empty bottle. So I've got almost a full bottle of the old fluid, and then an empty bottle. So it took me 2 bottles of brake fluid so I pretty much like did a brake flush, because all this new fluid was clear and the old fluid was all green. But yeah, before her pedal was going to the floor, now it feels way better. So, you know, got to take care of my mom. That's crazy. This is only the second major issue that she's had with this car in 3 years since I did the V6 swap. So, it's pretty good. The only other issue she had was she had a short in this harness back here, and it was keeping the alternator from charging the battery. Even though it had a brand new battery, I changed the alternator like 4 times with alternators that I knew were good, and still it wasn't charging the battery. We even put a new starter on it, and it still wasn't charging the battery. But other than that, we got that short fixed, and it cost $100 to have the short fixed in the wire harness, so I didn't have to swap out the whole engine harness. And it took him like a couple days with the car, and he got that fixed, and it's been a good car ever since. And then yesterday my mom called and she's like, hey, my pedal goes to the floor, I don't know what's up. And so she got over here, and here we are. She was completely out of fluid, but now we got her all bled, both sides. Got a good pedal, so now she's good to go. So I'm gonna get all this shit picked up, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, and her car is good to go. Pulled it forwards and backwards, stops great. Has a great feeling pedal. Brake fluid's full. So, got mom taken care of. Now I just need to go wash all this brake fluid and shit off her tires. Probably just go wash her car. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this one. So y'all have a good night. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more. And catch y'all on the next one.